We need to probably kick that up a little bit. Welcome to the St. Tammany Parish Zoning Commission meeting of December the 5th. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Seeger. Here. Ress.
Here.
McInnes.
Who is that lady?
Here. Truxillo. Doherty.
Here.
Horn.
Here.
Gaines.
Here.
Crawford.
Here.
Narcisse.
Here.
Troncoso.
Here.
Hernandez.
Here.
Accardo. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you.
And Mr. Carlos will be acting as a voting member in place of Mr. Truxillo.
Okay.
You don't want to make that announcement.
Yeah, the last person called Accardo is sitting in as a.
I think he left.
He's not here.
8 people.
Okay. All right. I believe he left, but we do have a quorum, so we didn't actually need him.
Okay.
That's not a nice way to put it, but bottom line, that's what happened. Announcements, please silence all phones and electronic devices. If you disagree with anything the commission votes on that you disagree with, you have the right to appeal it to the commission, to the council. Well, I'm goofed up here. Speaker cards are on the railing here to the right, and if you wish to speak on an item, you have to fill out a speaker card and turn it into staff, and they'll get it up here to us. Public speaking, 10 minutes each side and 5 minutes for rebuttal. You can exit the building after your case is heard, or you're welcome to stay if you so desire. Please rise for the invocation by Commissioner Seeger and the pledge by Commissioner Crawford.
Heavenly Father, as we enter into the holiday season, let us continue to be thankful for the precious gift that you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for the blessings you continue to bestow on the residents, employees, elected officials, and appointees of our fair parish. Lord, as we walk in our everyday life, never let us forget that it is indeed more blessed to give than to receive. And thank you for the opportunity to give back to our community, giving the precious gift of our limited time in our endeavor to make St. Tammany Parish a little piece of heaven on earth. God bless us, everyone. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yep. Okay. Dispense with the minutes.
All right, Commissioners, in your packet there was a packet of minutes from the November 1st meeting. Commissioner Crawford.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Commissioner Crawford put a motion on the floor to accept the minutes as written. Commissioner Gaines.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Please vote.
Mr. Horn. Thank you. The motion to accept the minutes as written carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, zoning change, request cases. First item is.
Postpone.
Any postponements?
Pardon? Oh, yeah. Helen, do we have any postponements? That's what
we have a request to postpone item number 2 on the agenda, 2023-3513 ZC, and Mr. Jeff Shane is here to address any questions you may have. 2023-3513 ZC, item number 2.
Okay. That's on 2023-3513. Okay, this is existing zoning is A3. Proposed zoning is HC2, highway commercial. Location, parcel located on the west side of Louisiana Highway 1077, south of Interstate 12, Covington, Ward 1, District 1. It's 12.7 acres. Petitioner is Jeffrey Shane. The owner is the succession of Jewel Chantelet Gennaro, Anthony Gennaro Jr., and Lisa Gennaro. It's Council District 1. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Council. My name is Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810 in Covington. I represent the owners and petitioners, which are the Gennaro family. As you know, this matter has been on your docket. Some of you attended a community meeting that was held in this chamber in November. We have been getting feedback from the residents, not only at the community meeting, but in response to inquiries that Councilman-elect Smith has sent to the residents. We got that feedback actually yesterday. And so we are in the process of re-examining our request and to determine which zone or zones we may seek to have this property rezoned to. We would respectfully request that this matter be postponed until your January 3 meeting. There is a possibility that if the matter is not ready to go in January 3, that we may ask that it be postponed till February, and if so, we would possibly need a community meeting in January. A lot of that will be dependent on the proposal that we come up with and the guidance that we get from Councilman Smith, who's been very involved in the process. So for this evening, we are not prepared to go forward, and I might add that we had not only mentioned this to you last month, but have told the residents at the community meeting and reiterated that with Councilman Smith that we would not go forward tonight. So we only request a postponement until your January meeting.
Okay. All right. Now, I have two speaker cards here, Bernard Stigler and Lillian Stigler. You understand that they're requesting to postpone this item?
We understand.
Okay.
We'd rather not continue to come back.
Come to the microphone.
Yeah. And this is we did come for the community meeting, so counting that, this is our 4th time here. And, you know, we don't really want to keep coming back here every first Tuesday of the month. You know, I don't know how long typically this goes on, but I don't, you know, I guess I can't speak for every property owner in the area, but I know for a fact that the great majority oppose this. I can't think of one single use for that property commercially that would benefit the rest of the property owners there. Not one thing. It's historically been a residential area. It was residential when I bought my property in 1982. It was residential, you know, without looking at the records, I'd say 50 years before that, at least. So, and there was no commercial there.
Well,
when we moved.
Right now we're talking about the postponing of this case.
I'm speaking to you about why I'm opposed. So if I have to keep coming back and saying the same thing, I guess I'll do that.
Well,
Thank you.
Let me give you an idea of how you can keep from coming back every first of the month, okay? You can either look on the website or you can get Mr. Shane's card and check with his office. He will be able to tell you if it's going to be moved forward or not, okay? We don't want you folks to have to come here for no reason, and that would be a no reason at that point in time, okay?
So how was I to know not to come tonight?
Well, at the community meeting, I'm sure it was discussed that there would possibly be a postponement at this
Possibly,
meeting.
but that's not, there is a postponement.
Pardon me?
How, you're saying possibly a postponement. So if nobody shows up, then he won't postpone it and it'll pass, right?
It could, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we want to come every time and say we're opposed to it. It's not good for the area. We've got enough commercial there. There's plenty other commercial land
Okay,
already commercial.
I understand what you're saying, but you can call our staff, and that's Helen Lambert in the planning department, and she can tell you if we have received a request from the petitioner to postpone it or not.
So he doesn't have to come here and say he requests to postpone?
Right.
So supposedly he notifies you guys that he may postpone, and then he comes here and decides not to. Then what?
Mr. Shane, you want to answer that one?
Yes, sir, I'll try to help, and I feel comfortable and confident what I said at the community meeting about a highly likely postponement this evening. But to address the gentleman's concern going forward, what we will commit to do is on Tuesday, January 2nd, I will send a written communication to Ms. Lambert as to what our intent is. I hope the audience understands I can't control whether you're going to postpone a matter. I can only make a request to you, and it will be up to the commission to determine. But what I will do is indicate our intent, whether it's to go forward on Wednesday, January 3rd, or whether it's to postpone, and that way they can communicate with the parish planning office, and there'll be no doubt.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shane. Does that satisfy?
Not really.
Well, okay.
So, let me just say, so I have to put everything on hold until Tuesday of next month because they may say they're going to postpone it, right? I can't plan to do anything because I might have to come that night, right?
Well, that's a possibility.
So what?
That's
So I
the
have to keep coming back every month.
Well, you can check with Ms. Lambert.
And she'll say, there's a possibility that they may postpone it.
Well, then I
Right? That's what he
suggest
just said.
You come every month then.
Yeah.
Okay? I can't control that.
Well, we
Okay?
could just vote on it and say no. Can we do that?
No,
Anybody in favor?
No.
Can we just vote no?
no.
Can somebody name one good use for that property
Sir?
commercially?
We're in a situation right now that I have a request from the petitioner to postpone this till January the 3rd. Okay? And right now, the commission is going to take that up, and we'll see which way the vote goes.
On January 3rd?
No, tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight.
About whether
Okay.
to postpone.
Pardon?
About whether or not they will postpone. The commission will postpone.
Okay. What can you do? Nothing.
Okay, thank you. All right. We have Commissioner Crawford.
So I'd like to make a motion to postpone this until January.
Recommendation by Commissioner Crawford to postpone to the January 3rd meeting. Commissioner Seeger.
He seconded.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Seeger. Commissioner McInnes.
I'd like to postpone to have it postponed until February. I think from what Mr. Shane said, it seems there's a 50-50 chance that it's going to maybe need another community meeting. And I do feel for these people. They keep coming out. And it just seems like it would be more confident results if we put it in February instead of January.
Right now, we have a motion and a second to postpone to January 3rd. And you're wanting to request that this go to the February meeting. Is that correct?
I am. I know we'll have to vote on the first one, but I'm asking my commissioners to consider another option that's on the table after we vote.
Well, if we vote on the first motion and it passes, then your motion would not be heard.
True.
Okay? All right. Commissioner Troncoso.
A comment, and I'd like to second Ms. McInnes's motion. This is going on long. There's so many postponements, and it seems like it is unfair to these people to come out every month to these meetings. It just seems to me there should be a deadline when they can make that withdrawal beforehand. And then the other piece of it is the communication that needs to take place with the community. Now, based on my understanding, when there was a community meeting, that there was supposed to be some sort of communication between either Mr. Shane or even Helen. I'm not sure if it was Helen, relative to getting notification out relative to the meeting being postponed or something along that lines. It just seems, Mr. Chairman, it just seems to me that it's a bit unfair for these people to be coming out more and more and more on this issue. Anyway, that's my comments.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Crawford.
Not to disagree with either of the commissioners that have spoken so far, but it's my understanding that the normal procedure that we follow is if there's going to be, as Mr. Shane pointed out, a postponement in January, which is likely, Helen would know about it the day before and would be able to answer anybody's question regarding that. But as I think we covered last time, it would be important to have that meeting take place and the postponement come before this commission as it is right now, so that a community meeting, which would be the reason for the postponement, a community meeting could be set, which would again be in this chambers at a time which Helen would have available, which we don't know what that is at this particular time. So that's my understanding of why I think we need to have it in January. Does that make sense, Helen?
Correct.
Okay. So that's just a comment.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote on the first motion that is to postpone.
Okay.
Please vote.
Postpone till January.
Till January, that's correct.
Right.
So we're voting on the first motion?
Yes.
Postpone till January.
If that first motion passed, another motion come to postpone.
The motion failed?
The motion carried. It's a
Okay.
procedural motion, not a
Oh, okay.
substantive motion.
The
Okay,
motion
so the
carried.
motion,
Sorry.
What legal just said was the motion, even though it showed up on the machine as it failed, it did pass. So it is postponed until January the 3rd. Okay? Thank you.
Next month.
What?
For substantive motion, it has to be 8, but for procedural motions,
Okay, Helen, we have another one?
Yes, number 8 on the agenda, which is a major amendment to the PUD for zoning case ZC 01-03-028. We request a postponement for 1 month, and Mr. Jeff Shane is here to answer any questions you may have. Item number 8.
Okay. Item number 8 is zoning case ZC 01-30028. Major amendment to the PUD, Plan Unit Development Overlay, Ward 4, Districts 5 and 7. parcel located on the northwest intersection of Interstate 12 and Louisiana Highway 1088, Mandeville. The size is 161.115 acres. The petitioner is Crosby Development, LLC. Owner is Crosby Development Company, LLC. Loves Travel Stops and Country Stores Incorporated, and the ASBY Fund. Mr. Shane.
Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm, P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, representing the owners and petitioner Crosby Development Company, LLC. Mr. Crosby was unable to complete some amendments to his PUD request pursuant to conversations with staff. Staff knew that he would not be able to get that data to them timely for them to update a staff report or prepare a staff report for you. So we've known for a few weeks that this matter would need to be postponed this evening. There's no reason to believe it would not be ready to come before you in January, meaning that whatever revisions are needed will be submitted, and staff should have an opportunity to review and comment to you accordingly. So we would respectfully request a postponement of this matter until your January 3rd meeting.
Okay. We don't have it? Okay. All right. I want to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Crawford.
Motion to postpone until January meeting.
Motion by Commissioner Crawford to postpone to the January meeting. Commissioner McInnes.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McInnes. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to postpone to January carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Helen.
I do not have any other requests for postponement.
Okay. I did receive a phone call from Commissioner Randolph to postpone item 5, which is case 2023-3586-ZC. Existing zoning is A4, single-family residential district. Proposed zoning is A4, single-family residential, and MHO, manufactured housing overlay. Parcel located on the east side of Beach Avenue, south of Birch Avenue, Ward 8, District 14. It's .253 acres. Petitioner's Boss Up Rentals and Renovation, LLC, Elijah Johnson, and the owner is Dragonfly Enterprises, Incorporated, Jamie Lindsay. This is Council District 14.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Lindsay is here in the audience. Would you allow him to come to the podium?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm Jamie Lindsay. I live in Bush, Louisiana. I'm okay if Mr. Randolph wants to postpone it. We'll go ahead and go to January. That's perfectly fine.
Okay. And we're going to go right now with the January 3rd meeting, right?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Elijah Johnson.
See what we got here. I'm not seeing this one.
You're for this, right?
Yes, good evening.
Okay. Good evening. Right now, as it stands, based on the input that I received from the councilman, this will be postponed until the January 3rd meeting.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Seeger.
I'll move to postpone for 1 month.
Motion by Commissioner Seeger to postpone for 1 month. Commissioner Troncoso.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Troncoso. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to postpone for 1 month carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to bring to everyone's attention on the agenda, items number 3, ZC 233574 ZC, and also we have 2023-3583 PR. There were, 2 cases on the same parcel of land. The 2 cases have been withdrawn, so they're not going to be heard this evening. And there was potentially going to be a public hearing, a community meeting on December 13th, which has been canceled as well. Just want to make sure that everyone is aware of that.
Okay. All right. That's, item 3 was the one that was withdrawn, right?
That's correct. Just want to make sure that everyone is aware of the withdrawal.
Okay. That should be, do we need to do anything else? Okay, all right. And I also had a request from Mr. Shane to move up item 7. Item 7 is case 2023-3609-ZC. Existing zoning is A2 Suburban District. Proposed zoning is CBF1 Community-Based Facilities District. Location, parcel located on the north side of Louisiana Highway 22, west being 1846 Louisiana Highway 22 west, Madisonville, Ward 1, District 1. It's 7.001 acres. Petitioner is Jeffrey Shane. The owner is Crosby Development LLC, and this is Council District 1. Mr. Shane, or staff rather.
The applicant is requesting to rezone a 7.001 acre parcel from A2 Suburban District to CBF1 Community-Based Facility District. The subject property is comprised of 3 separate lots and is currently developed with a vacant single-family residence. The property is surrounded by residential zoning on all sides. The purpose of the existing A2 Suburban District is to provide a single-family residentially zoned environment on large multi-acre lots. The purpose of the requested CBF1 Community-Based Facilities District is to provide for the location of quasi and public and quasi-public uses that are appropriate within close proximity to residential districts. Per the owner's application, the site is proposed to be developed with a softball and baseball facility. If approved, the applicant could place any of the permitted uses listed under the CBF zoning district on the property, but to develop any of the above uses, the applicant will have to meet all applicable parish requirements, including drainage, landscaping, and parking.
Thank you. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Jeff Shane of the Jones Ucell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington. I actually represent the prospective purchasers of this parcel owned by Crosby Development LLC, and we wish to present to you this evening a request to change the zoning as indicated to CBF 1 from its current A2 zone. With regard to the staff report, I think it's obvious this is a 7-acre, basically undeveloped tract. There is an abandoned home that's on it that would be a tear down. But my client's hope is in changing the zoning to CBF1 that they will be able to construct some ball fields at this location. If you'll take a look at your staff report, and in particular, I would say we might start with the 3rd page because that should be the 4th page, which would be a plat showing the parcels outlined in red. Those are the parcels that constitute the 7 acres. I might add that parcel A, which is not included, is owned by a gentleman named Mr. Manny Estrada, who I think is here this evening. He could not make it, but notified us that he is in support of this proposition and hopes that you see fit to make a recommendation this evening to the council that the zoning be changed. If you look at the following page behind that survey, you will see the first draft of the proposed site plan, which indicates the construction of 3 ball fields of various sizes, parking and sort of a canteen or refreshment stand, bathroom facility on the site. On the next page of your staff report, you will see a Google overlay that shows the location of the property, the undeveloped property that surrounds it, and of course, both Montgomery Trace to the east, which is in sort of a yellow shade, and Rayford Oaks, which is in a green shade to the north. Now, I've provided you with an exhibit this evening to give you some idea of the distances, more than a football field in length, from the eastern perimeter of this tract to Montgomery Trace, and likewise just a little further distance from our northern boundary up to Rayford Oaks. Because I didn't want you to think that any of the subdivisions literally abutted this property or would be, in our view, affected in any way by the consequences of having some ball fields there. My clients really hope to develop what I will call a family recreation and entertainment facility at this location. Yes, primarily for softball and baseball training and play, not to rival Coquille, but quite frankly to assist in providing facilities that quite frankly will be closer to the many homes and rooftops that we now have in subdivisions in the western part of our parish. My client has studied kind of the business and believes that this opportunity to have not only private tutoring of young people to learn to play sports, but also to have facilities at this location could be actually a great benefit to the locals in that area. Many of them obviously have families and children, and we think that this will be very complementary to the lifestyle that's in that area. A few things I'd like to point out from the staff report, and that is that the future land use suggests this to be a mixed-use area, and I believe that what we propose certainly might fit within that general mixed-use classification. Interestingly, this property is all flood zone C and or flood zone X, meaning a non-flood zone. It's not in a critical drainage area. And if you look at the limited uses on page 2 of your staff report, and I'm looking at item 10 of the CBF proposed zoning classification, you'll see that most of those uses are institutional in nature, not things that should create tremendous impacts in terms of lots of cars or noise or lights, etc. But while we're talking about impacts, my client understands that in constructing ball fields, we're going to have to present and prepare a traffic study for engineering to review to make sure that we're properly parking and accommodating cars. Because we abut a state highway, we will need a proper permit from LADOTD and whatever traffic study requirements they may make, again, to facilitate traffic in and out. We certainly will have to present a drainage plan, and of course drainage is critical on ball fields anyway, but the point is to make sure that we're gathering, collecting, and retaining water on site and discharging it in a manner that would not be unfair to the neighbors, whether it's water coming onto our site or water leaving our site. Likewise, as you know, your code includes significant regulations with regard to lighting and noise, so that we will need to make sure that our light standards for the ball fields and any noise that we don't anticipate projecting an unusual amount of noise, but we understand that those would be legitimate concerns that you and our residents in the area might have. So that's one reason this track really appealed to us. It's one reason you see the configuration that you do of the ball fields. We believe that we can encapsulate, if you will, most of this activity in a manner that it will be seamless and presumably produce no harmful impacts to anyone in the region. I would also bring to your attention that the change of zoning to CB1 should, I think, be another way that this commission and the council can start to provide some of the needs and services that people have in the western part of our parish. I know it's always a difficult proposition, but in this parish, the way the West developed was that we flooded it with rooftops, lots of homes. And I don't know that that was necessarily bad, but one of the consequences of that is that those people often have to drive significant distances for all the services they need, gasoline, daycare, doctors, vet clinics, recreation, etc. So my point is that I believe that the opportunity to bring a private recreation facility into this region is really very positive. And I think it actually could have some inverse impacts in the sense that those that are probably traveling greater distances now to go to Coquille and other rec facilities will have some local options. I think you would also be interested to know that my clients are currently in the recreation business. They have a baseball training facility on Highway 1077. They have a lot of young people and families that are a part of their enterprise. So this is a sort of a growth, if you will, from that business, seeing a need to have the opportunity for team activities. There will be a lot of practice and a lot of intra-squad type games at this facility, but there also will be occasional games where I'm sure teams from other areas will come in. So we look for this to be a good, healthy activity, and actually will probably produce some local boost to the local businesses in the area when people do come to this area, although the size of the facility is fairly modest and is not intended to bring in mega crowds at any one particular time. Hopefully you understand our vision. Hopefully you understand the need for our change of zone. We ask that you consider granting that recommendation this evening. As the meeting progresses, if you have questions or comments or concerns that you think I can better address, I would appreciate reserving some time and coming back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. I have two cards. Jack? Steve? Steve? Okay. You just marked the other, undecided? Is Mr. Shane giving you some ideas?
Just make a quick comment.
Okay.
I live right across the highway from the proposed development. There is a traffic study apparently going on there right now. There is one of those pneumatic lines laid across the highway right now, and I'm just wondering if the council wouldn't be better informed after that traffic study is completed. Does anybody know who is conducting that traffic study that's going on right now there? There's a pneumatic line laid across the highway, a traffic counter. That the parish is not familiar with what that study is all about.
Well, it'll be up to the developer to get the traffic study put together and turn it into engineering here at the parish.
Okay.
If it's required.
Which is required.
No, if it's required.
If it's required, okay. So all I can do is suggest that, stay in touch with staff and be aware that there is a traffic study being done.
And that's, I guess my suggestion is that perhaps you should postpone this decision until you know what the traffic study brings to you. I'm a little concerned that the people who attend such a facility will be the people in Tangipahoa Parish is being heavily developed right now. And I'm a little concerned that a lot of the traffic that comes into this place will come from Tangipahoa Parish rather than the local subdivisions there. Certainly, if it was an asset to local subdivisions, then I would not be opposed to it, but I'm a little bit concerned that there will be a heavier traffic brought in from the heavy developments that are going on in Tangipahoa Parish, right across the parish line. So just something to be aware of. I'm not adamantly against this. And then the other thing that I'm a little bit worried about is once this is passed, if it's rezoned, there's nobody holding these people's feet to the fire of actually putting in a ballpark. They could, once it's passed, then they could put in something else, something more intrusive. So I'm a little concerned that that once this passes, somebody, we leave the gate open for somebody to put in something that's more intrusive.
Well, I'll tell you that the CBF 1 has a number of things that can be put there, but it's,
But they're all fairly low impact,
yes.
is your impression?
All right.
Well, that's the assurance that I'm looking for. So
Okay.
those are the only comments that I would make.
All right, thank you. Stephanie Kovac? Good evening.
Hi. I said undecided because I wanted to hear what was being said. However, my name is Stephanie Kovac. I'm an 11-year resident of Timber Lane subdivision directly across the street from where this is being proposed. And I've been here before for other rezoning requests for that same land. I am not so naive to believe that we can successfully continue our fight against these rezoning requests across the street from Timber Lane. I know there will come a day when I will see the paradise of woods across the street completely obliterated, just like all of Paraloo. But maybe what's being proposed this time is the lesser of evils. It sure beats a daycare or a boat and RV storage facility and the traffic nightmare that would have come from either. But I'm here today for one reason, and that's because I remain incredibly concerned about the traffic with this proposal. As you all know, this location is less than 1 mile from what is perhaps the deadliest intersection in all of St. Tammany. And I shudder to think of what's going to happen at that very spot when traffic starts entering and exiting from the new Shell station. The station's entrance and exit off of Highway 22 is just a few feet from the stop sign at 1085 and 22. And personally, I believe that design is a recipe for a catastrophic collision, and I suppose it won't take long for time to prove me right. I don't believe that adding a multi-use facility less than a mile away that will involve more traffic turning on and off of 22 is a safe option, especially if this facility will be amenable to young teenagers who are behind the wheel for the first time. I know there's talk of a traffic circle coming at 1085 and 22, and truth be told, I've been hearing about that traffic circle as long as I've lived here. But for the life of me, I can't understand why that circle didn't come before that Shell station. But an even greater issue for me is the fact that St. Tammany voters just elected nearly 10 new faces to the parish council, and nearly all of those newly elected ran on a platform to slow the growth. And sadly, there's no way for us to vote out the Zoning and Planning Commission, because you all rarely say no to anything, especially if it's a storage shed or a car wash. It's all people over profits and our quality of life. It's all profits over people and our quality of life. And at some point, this has to stop, especially in Madisonville, where we don't have the infrastructure to handle the volume of development or the pace. Everywhere I look, I see another sold sign on a piece of undeveloped property, or worse, that dreaded yellow rezoning sign. What I would really like to see is common sense prevail, for infrastructure to be considered first, be it an added turn lane into this proposed development, or perhaps a little time to determine the level of increased danger that that Shell station will undoubtedly pose, less than a mile away from this multi-use zoning request. Better yet, why don't we just wait? Why don't we wait until the traffic circle at 1085 is in place and not assume the risk of losing one more life? Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Farah? Okay.
How you doing?
Good evening.
Good evening. I represent the Timber Lane HOA. 3/10 of a mile, by the way, less than a mile, 3/10 of a mile from the deadliest intersection where the Shell station is that got ramrodded through. So my question is, we got no information. We couldn't see a picture of the plot. We don't know where the baseball fields are going. I could not give any information to my subdivision other than the meeting tonight. I would like to postpone this so we can get information to the community, 109 houses in Timber Lane subdivision, to let them know what exactly is going there, so we can maybe come back with objections or for. We didn't have any information other than the yellow sign that went up a week and a half ago. So I would like to request that this is tabled, postponed, Mr. Attorney there can give me the information. I can bring it to the, what's your name, sir, again? Sorry. Shane. Mr. Shane, if I get the information from you, the plot that you had presented to this council here, so I can bring it to the subdivision, and then maybe we can come back, and we may be for it, we may be against it, we may ask for some certain things, but without having information, I'd like to put this on hold. I can get the information. Rayford Oaks is in here too. I believe some people, they knew nothing about this, is butting up against their subdivision as well. So I'm asking that we postpone this for a month or 2 months, hopefully in February to get through the holidays, so we can come back and have a further discussion on it to see if it's good or bad. Also, is it going to be nighttime baseball? Is it going to be 12 months out of the year? How many teams? Is all the trees going to be ripped out? What's the lighting going to be like? Have we given consideration to the traffic once the circle is built? Because if you look at 1077 Circle and 1085, that traffic backs up all the way past the interstate. So when that traffic comes and that circle's built, that traffic's definitely going to back up in front of our subdivision 0.3 of a mile. Now all this added traffic coming is going to add more traffic. So I'm asking that we table it, postpone it, let us gather some more information. Like I said, I'm not totally against it, but I have major concerns about the project, and we'd like more information to discuss it and come back and lend our opinion from other residents in our subdivision, and possibly Rayford Oaks as well. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's all the speaker cards that I had on this case. So we'll go into rebuttal. Mr. Shane?
Give me just 1 minute, please. Thank you for the minute. So I guess maybe in response to all of the comments, I hope that the residents or the public know that the staff reports and agendas are posted on the website. What we did probably as far back as 6 weeks ago was contacted Councilman Dean and also Councilman-elect Smith right after he won the, I guess that was the October primary, the first primary, and not only gave them all of the data, but asked them to distribute or make sure that people were informed, or if they had anyone contact them to let me know. So I wish that I had known that some of these people were interested, because I certainly respect their comments and understand the fact that we're going to be developing something within their community. I think with regard to the primary comments that I heard, with regard to traffic, I'm confident that the parish is likely to require a traffic study because the site is more than 2 acres, and is probably going to be classified more as a commercial type use, so a traffic study is incumbent. Now, whether one is being done now or counts are being done now, I'm not sure. They're certainly not ours. Doesn't mean that we won't try to take avail of that, make use of that data if it's available. But I also know the state is going to require us to present to them traffic data based on our development, and also including conditions in the area, because we will need an access permit, a connection permit, if you will, to have a driveway to our facility off of the state highway. No, we won't have that data before this matter would be considered by the commission or council, but we would not be able to procure a building permit and develop the site without having that data in hand. Just as we'll have to submit a drainage study, just as we'll have to submit a light plan study to show where our lights will be positioned, and the amount of light that will be generated to the perimeter of the site. There are no subdivisions that abut this tract. That doesn't mean there aren't subdivisions in the area. That's why I've given you the drawing that I did with the distances that were prepared. I might also add that the traffic that we generate, I do not believe will be at peak hour. I know it's not going to be at peak hour in the morning, and it could be some traffic at peak hour in the afternoons, but I think a lot of the traffic that will be generated is likely to be on the weekends and evenings, certainly late afternoon during the weekday. So we have a contract to purchase with Mr. Crosby, Crosby Development, the seller. He has asked us to try to stay on a timeline so that we can timely purchase the property. And so I'd be interested to see how the commission feels about proceeding this evening, not to the deference of the remarks that the gentleman just made as president of Timberlane HOA, but I think he should know, if he doesn't, that this is just the first step in the process, and that even if this matter were recommended positively or negatively to the council, it will at least go to the council for 2 consecutive months, and it will really be under the guidance of Councilman Smith, who will be sworn in, obviously, in the beginning of January. So, again, I believe that the things that we're asking for are not unreasonable. I believe that there are checks and balances in place to make sure that the impacts not only meet parish standards, but are fair to the people that live in the area. We want this facility to be an amenity and a service to the people that live in that area, not something that is a negative impact or a detriment or something that causes problems. This is not going to be a facility where you're going to have thousands of people congregated. My guess would be, based on looking at our parking lot, it's probably going to be 100 or less, and it won't necessarily be teenagers driving cars. It's more likely to be parents bringing their children to the facility to participate in these team activities. So I would be interested to see how the commission feels about proceeding this evening. We certainly will respect whatever decision you make, but hopefully that gives you some background as to why we think you could consider it this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Jane. All right. That was the rebuttal from the petitioner. We had 3 speakers, and you have the right to speak in rebuttal on this item. So if you wish to speak in rebuttal, come to the microphone and again, state your name. And
Stephen Ferreira. I understand commerce and business must proceed in a quick manner, but all we're asking for is let us have the information. We didn't know the sign went up a week and a half ago. I tried to rally the troops, but not knowing a whole bunch of information, we couldn't get more people out here. So I don't see the harm in letting us get the information. Let us talk to the subdivision. Maybe Rayford Oaks wants to look at it too, because it does, even though there's some space between, butt up against their subdivision. And just let us look at it. Like I said, we're not 100% opposed, but we need more information to really think this out, because especially the traffic in the evening in front of our subdivision, it backs up tremendously. And that's when most of the people are going to be coming. It's going to make it a lot worse. So we're like respectfully to ask for the package of information so that we can share it amongst the 109 residents in Timberlane subdivision and see what everybody thinks. So okay. I don't think that's much of an ask. And once again, I would like it hopefully to be postponed until February so we don't do it right after New Year's Eve when everybody's busy with Christmas and getting out of the holiday season.
Thank you. All right, the other 2 folks that spoke.
Again, Stephanie Kovac. I'm just going to keep this really short. I'm just going to back what Steve just said. If it's not, as Mr. Shane is saying, if it's not meant to be a detriment to the community, then why can't the community have more time to get our questions answered?
Okay, thank you. What about the other gentleman?
Our concerns have been addressed. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner McInnes.
Question for staff. Any update on the traffic circle from the DOTD?
Not at this time, no.
I'll ask the director of engineering.
He will send it, text message to the
I'm
director.
sorry, I couldn't hear.
We'll send it, we'll try to get the information to you as soon as possible.
All right. I noticed there's a home on the west side that would be adjacent to the parking. Wish they would have appeared tonight because I think that would be of interest. One thing that the home is abandoned on the west side? Okay. I guess one issue I just want to point out, yes, there's a lot of distances between existing subdivisions, but it's still A2 zoning. So if I were hoping to build a home next door, that would be a significant change. One question on lighting, staff. What is the requirements for lighting? Is there something specific to ball fields?
Yes.
It has to be the shoebox type that shines towards the ground so that there's no glare going over the property line.
Okay. There's a small ball field on 190. It's hard to, 190's everywhere. Between Highway 25 and, it's near Covington High School, let me just say that. And it seems to be very popular and an asset to the neighborhood, but it is pretty bright. If I were a neighbor, I would be concerned. Those are my comments. I'm going to see what the other commissioners have to say, but I'm glad to hear that lighting will be directed downward. I know that is, it's still going to be somewhat bright, but at least not as bright as car sales areas that are super bright. Thank y'all very much.
And I just wanted to point out, too, there's also time limitations on lighting for recreational facilities in the code.
Okay.
Commissioner Troncoso.
The gentleman that was up here first, Mr. Skate, you asked a question regarding, the only thing it could possibly be is the DOTD updates their traffic counts periodically every year or so, sometimes 2 years, depending on the area. You could go online to the DOT or call the DOT for information relative to anything along Highway 22 like that if you want to find out directly from them. It is a state highway, and most likely, in most cases, it is them updating their information. Okay, I hope that's helpful to you. A question for the staff regarding the, and you may not know this, but is there any development plans for recreational new parks on the west side of Madisonville, or do we have any information at all relative to that? Just sort of curious.
As far as private or public?
Public.
I would say we have recreation districts, and Coquille would be the one on the west side that is continuing to expand.
So that takes care of that whole area?
Yeah, pretty much. And so as private coming in, we're not sure. As nothing's been submitted other than maybe this facility here, but on the public side, no. One other thing is the director of engineering mentioned that the letting for the roundabout at 1085 and 22 is scheduled for 6/24. We've seen that not take place and continue to be pushed back, but right now it looks like it's on schedule for 6/24, June of 24. So we'll see.
In regards to the information flow on this, and frankly, you don't have any information, Under those circumstances, I would like to make a motion that we postpone this to February to give these people an opportunity to understand what it is that's going to be in their neighborhood. And just a comment, the residential area here certainly needs to be given a full and focal opportunity relative to this issue. It's right there in your backyard, so you need to find out. So I would like to make a motion to postpone till February to give Mr. Shane and everyone else a chance to get the information out and come back to this.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If you would like to let the public know that, everything that is available in our packet, including a copy of the drawing, is on our website, or they're welcome to contact our department. They will be happy to email them a copy of it.
Okay. Thank you, Helen. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Troncoso to postpone this to the February meeting. Commissioner Narcisse.
I think, shockingly, you have a very willing participant in even the objection. They're saying, hey, we're open to it. And I think it's a very rational and reasonable request to postpone and discuss with them and see if you can get them on your side and make the whole situation a lot easier. February is long. I was thinking January postponement, but if you're not willing to yield on that, I'll go with February. All right, so
that would be a January 3rd meeting.
That's right.
Gotcha. So I will second Mr. Troncoso and go from there.
Okay, we have a second to Mr. Troncoso's motion to postpone until February. Commissioner Narcisse.
He just spoke. Rest.
Commissioner Rest.
Yeah, just a couple of comments here on this. First of all, to the, I guess the first opposing speaker, just for clarification purposes, this commission overwhelmingly voted against that Shell station on the corner. It was overridden by the council. So we get overridden. So just understand, sometimes we see things the same way you do, but we don't have the final say. So let's be clear about that before we're belittled for something we didn't do. Second of all, this transportation problem in the parish, everybody knows it exists. Unfortunately, this is a state road. And the decision to widen this road or make this road better is up to the state, not the parish. The state may say when they do a traffic study, you got to put in turn lanes or whatever to access it, which they've been done on a lot of the subdivisions along that stretch of road. And I understand, I've traveled that road quite a few times. I know it's busy and it's continued to get busy. There are worse roads in this parish than that. Unfortunately, the state doesn't move real quick, as we've all seen. And it's not the parish that has to decide that. So a lot of times for the state to move, it appears the traffic has to be horrendous before they do anything. Well, unfortunately, it's a catch-22. If you don't put anything to make it horrendous, then they don't do anything. And it's already bad, but it's not bad enough for them typically to do something, is what we keep seeing throughout the parish. That's my take on it. I've been on where you're sitting. I've been on that side and fought about traffic. If you think that road's bad, there's some over here that are a lot worse at times of the day. But, you know, what they're asking for on this development is something that potentially takes some traffic off the road. And I think sometimes we don't realize that. There's a lot of people that maybe live in this area that are traveling those roads further to go to Coquille right now. So don't underestimate there's sometimes a value in having that closer than further away. I'm not saying that's for sure because we don't know where they're coming from. But there may be people that are traveling all the way to Coquille now that are driving on 22 that wouldn't be going as far or accessing that road as much. So you know, it's not always just so simple as, oh, we can't do it because there's traffic. Believe me, I am not in favor. This commission has done a lot of fighting for a lot of the changes that are being made in the development code and whatever, and we fought these things, and we don't take them very lightly. As far as getting the information to help you feel more comfortable with the development or prove that you don't like it, you know, delaying things, you know, typically I thought our signs go up 30 days in advance, not a week and a half. Am I mistaken on that, staff?
10 days.
10 days.
10 days? Only 10 days ahead. That's not very far. So I could see where that, in all fairness, is not a lot of time. I thought it was longer than that. Maybe it should be. As far as postponing it till after the first year, this is a terrible time of the year to try to do a lot of important business. And it will be till after the first year. I tend to agree with the decision to try to move it. But I think everybody needs to realize that there's a lot of it's not going to get better as much as we'd like it to. And we'd like it to stop. But if you're the person that owns this piece of property and you're wanting to put it in commerce or you're wanting to do it, it's a whole different feeling. And unfortunately, we all think about it, and when they built Coquille, somebody didn't want Coquille too. Somebody didn't want the gas station that's down the road when there was, somebody always never wants it in their own backyard, but unfortunately, we continue to grow as a parish. I don't see it getting, when I moved here 30 years ago, I wish it would have stopped right then, but it didn't. So it's not going to now either, most likely.
Okay. Mr. Shane, you have a comment?
Yes, sir. I know the floor is closed. If I could have the liberty just a minute. We're not opposed to the postponement after hearing the discussion. What I would ask the commission to consider, and the citizens that are here this evening, is that the matter be reset for January. I realize in January we may not be ready to proceed, but one of the benefits it would provide is that if there is a need for a community meeting, it could be set at the January meeting, and that community meeting could be held in mid-January, and I think we would have a better public hearing in February. So I'd like to have that opportunity. It seems to me there's benefit to that. Again, if the residents come in January and say we're not ready to, I'm not suggesting that we're going to have the hearing per se in January, but it could be that after they see the packet, they're ready. I would just like to have the ability to at least set the community meeting in January, as opposed to getting here in February and there being talk about a community meeting, and it gets pushed back to March.
Okay, let me see.
So no opposition to the postponement.
Okay, let me see what the two commissioners that made the motion and the second, see if they are in agreement to move it from February to January.
Stay in the queue.
Pardon?
Commissioner Horn has a comment.
I'm in the queue.
Okay. Commissioner Horn.
So my question, I believe, is for legal and how we proceed. Is there a way to suspend what's on the floor right now, let them meet now to set for the meeting in January, which would make sense since they're here?
I don't think we can do that at this meeting.
I mean, so it's a common sense question. Can we let them do what Mr. Shane is trying to do in January now, to set it for January for the meeting, and then we still have the postponement for February already in place, and he gets what he's requesting and suggesting, and the postponement for the people still happens? Legal, can that happen?
It can. If staff has dates available for a community meeting, we can set that tonight and do the postponement still for February, or the individual that made the motion to postpone can amend his motion to the January meeting. Either one of those is possible.
This way we can give both sides what they're asking for simultaneously.
Might need a few minutes.
Like in a few minutes. Because we've done that before where Mr. Shane would meet with some of the representatives in the hallway, I believe.
Just one time.
And speak to them?
Just one time we did that.
we can do it again.
We potentially have January 16th or 23rd available. However, I didn't get a chance to check with the council office. But, you know, the two dates that may potentially be available will be the 16th, January 16th or January 23rd.
Okay, so there's the two dates. Troncoso, you made the motion, and Narcisse, you second?
Having a community meeting in January.
Okay. You want to go with the?
Yeah, that would be appropriate to have a community meeting in January to give them an opportunity to increase the communication.
If they're not ready, then it can be postponed.
And then have the hearing in February, yes.
Right. That's not what he's saying. He's saying to keep a postponement for February, but instead a community meeting tonight.
Correct.
Yes.
And
Yes.
That makes sense.
We're just trying to confirm a room.
Pardon?
We're just trying to confirm the room,
Yes, we're trying to confirm how to,
the location.
Whenever.
All right, I'm confused now.
legal, how do we proceed on this motion?
We've got a motion and a second. Postpone to February.
Yeah. Yes.
Helen's going to set the possibility of studying.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
So we're trying to have a community meeting discussion project in January?
Correct. Yes.
So the community come together, discuss concerns?
Yes.
And then have a vote whether it passes in February?
Yes.
We just, we postponed it on the agenda till February. That gives you all time. We're giving you what you're asking for.
Can we meet with Mr. Shane and the developers and discuss the project and address our concerns between now and January what?
What I'm trying to do right now is to where you can meet with Mr. Shane in the hallway for a second, discuss the date in January that was recommended, and then you have all of your people come in January to the community meeting. Then if you guys decide to come back in February, when this happens again, you're prepared.
So in February, we vote whether it gets changed or not.
It'll be on the agenda.
It'll be on the agenda.
It'll be on the agenda.
It won't be on the agenda January 3rd to change it.
No, because we're postponing it for February. Yeah, we're trying to make sure that both sides get what they want.
Okay. Mr. Shane.
I like that.
All of that's fine, we understand that, but I think we need to have a mechanism where the staff tells us the night for the community meeting, date and time, and we can communicate that to everybody so that we all know.
Yeah, we're waiting on that.
Sure.
If we can't get it set tonight, then we can't.
No, I understand that, but I want to make, that's right. We understand where we're headed. That is a February public hearing before you, presumably to make a decision on the recommendation. I would think at the January meeting that staff should be able to advise you and all of us as to when that community meeting would be in January. Because you can't do it tonight.
We cannot confirm that tonight?
Well, we may be able to, we need a few minutes. We can move on to another case.
Can we suspend and table this? Yeah, that was the term. Table this.
You know, we're trying to get in touch with people who control this room.
Jeff, you and I can also try to Madisonville Library, get actually closer to the property. Or that needs to be here.
What with Emily?
So,
does it have to be here?
The community, if we're setting a community meeting, if they're going to meet informally, they can do it wherever. But if we're going to do a community meeting held by the zoning commission, it needs to be at the government office.
Okay.
okay, so
Can't
we're
make a
going to
motion
set
on top
it
of
for
it.
January 3rd.
No.
Just go with their motion in second. Or how about?
It's already been amended, correct?
If the staff can't confirm the date tonight, it's not critical. I'm sure we all have an agreement that there's not going to be a public hearing on January 3rd.
Right.
At worst, you will announce on January 3rd when the community meeting will be, what time and where. And presumably, it will be either 2 or 3 weeks.
And then what we can do is we'll set the agenda, and when we post it online, we'll post a meeting online as well for the community meeting for this case. So it'll be posted on our website. So we may not be able to confirm tonight. We know it's not going to be heard on January 3rd. We know it's set for February based on the motion in a second, and anticipating a vote to confirm that. So then we'll post on the website what the date of the community meeting is and time and location.
So that'll be made available. So that date will be made available to the community. They know it's in January. They're waiting to see the date. We're postponing until February.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
Thank you, Mr. Horn.
Regarding the communication, how are we going to tell the community, alert the community to the date of the
Anyone in the
meeting?
audience is welcome to email me or call any one of our staff.
Where's the gentleman from?
Yeah, the HOA.
HOA.
Right there. He's just coming up.
So we'll post it on the website. I'd say probably by tomorrow. It's a pretty easy ask, except for no one's in the office right now. You can certainly call Helen, but it'll be posted online for sure. And just call the office by, say, Thursday at the latest, and we'll know everything.
Thursday
This week.
this week.
Yeah. It'll probably be posted, and we'll know by tomorrow. We'll post it as soon as we know.
Would you like to make a decision as to who will attend for the commissioners? Or you would like to wait until the January meeting?
All right, we've got a motion and a second for January the 3rd, right? No. Okay. February. All right, but we don't know what date in February.
It's going to be on for public hearing in the February 6th meeting, and we will know the date of the community meeting, which is sometime in June.
All right, please vote.
The motion to postpone to February carries.
Okay. Thank y'all for being patient. Hopefully we'll get it straight and we'll go on down the road with it. Mr. Shane? Mr. Shane? So we're set now for February 6th on this item.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we hope to have a community meeting in January when that date and time becomes available. And we're assuming at your January meeting, you'll enlist some commissioners to participate at that community meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. All right, we go back to item 4. All right, this is case 2023-3585-ZC.
We skipped number 1. 3398.
I thought we did that. Okay. Y'all confusing an old man tonight. All right. We'll go back to item 1 on the agenda. Cases 2023-3398-ZC. Existing zoning is A4A Single Family Residential. Proposed zoning is I1 Industrial. Parcel located on the northeast corner of Coast Boulevard and Bosworth Avenue, being lots 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, Square 6, Central Park Subdivision, Slidell, Ward 8, District 12. This is 0.64 acres. The petitioner is Air Comfort Products Incorporated, Wilford Lewis. Owner is Wilford Lewis, Council District 12. This has been postponed at the August 1st meeting, September 5th meeting, and October 10th meeting. Staff?
As you just mentioned, this case was postponed a few times in front of you, and the original request was to rezone the property to HC2 Highway Commercial Zoning District. This is a zoning change that's been amended to go to I1 Industrial District. If you take a look at point number 5 on page 2 of the staff report, is, while HC2, probably raised a lot of concern as to, rezoning this property in the area, the petitioner and owner of elected to, request to rezone to the I-1 industrial district. And while the I-1 is more intense, it has significantly fewer uses than the HC2 highway commercial district. Also, one point to bring out, which is on your staff report here, is when a piece of property zoned industrial is abutting commercial or residential, there's a requirement for a 25-foot buffer. And basically, so the advantage of the I-1 here is basically that it provides a larger buffer when abutting commercial or residential.
Okay. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm at P.O. Box 1810 in Covington, representing the owner and petitioner, which is Air Comfort Products, Inc. This case has been on your docket for a while, but I believe that tonight we're going to bring to you a good story that's a result of work that we've been doing over the past few months. I have with me this evening Mr. Lewis, who is the owner of Lewis Air Conditioning and Heating in Slidell, presently located on Garrett Field Drive, the service road to I-10. And he owns this property on Coast, and he hopes to move to that location. We've worked very closely with Councilman Bender and also the residents in that area, principally through Mr. Donnie Hilton, kind of as a spokesperson. When we started this case, we believed that for him to move his business and have an office warehouse use, no outdoor manufacturing, no outdoor storage of materials, but just the classic office warehouse where he would conduct his air conditioning and heating supply business and service business, that we needed a highway commercial zone. And we pursued that for a few months, and quite frankly, the varied uses in highway commercial 2 were more than probably the residents and Councilman Bender and probably this commission would have been comfortable in considering. So credit to staff in meeting with them. They suggested that we look at the possibility of an I-1 zone. And as you can see in the staff report, as Ms. Lambert has brought to your attention, there are fewer permitted uses in I-1, but we have done some other things that we think will preserve a great opportunity that if you make the recommendation to I-1 and the council agrees, that the property can only be used for an office warehouse facility. So I've given you two handouts, and I'd first like to look at the Google overlay, and that's the colored drawing that I've given you. The yellow box right in the middle is this property in question. And what I wanted to bring to your attention are the other developments along coast in that area, because it is really at least a mixed-use area without having zoning to match up with those uses. So as you can see from the coding that I did, you have a combination of warehouse, storage yards, office warehouse. You have the school board maintenance facility, a ServPro parking area, a tattoo and piercing business, and also a business that sells fresh eggs and maybe other agricultural products. My point is that there is commerce up and down Coast Avenue. And so after the first meeting, when we were approached by the two Hilton brothers that not only appeared at this meeting but spoke, we started meeting or speaking with them. And in getting to this I-1 resolution, the things that were critical were to have a 25-foot landscape buffer to the rear as opposed to a 10-foot landscape buffer. Also to have the privacy fence to the rear, which code would mandate. Also, they had requested that there be no access from Bosworth Avenue, which is the side street, and we agreed to that as well. So when I got to looking at the property, I realized that currently it is actually 7 legal lots of record, and you can see that in the handout that I have given you, the second handout. And this is a proposed administrative re-subdivision of those 7 lots into 1 legal lot of record that I shared with staff probably a month ago. So contemporaneous with the zoning of this property, we would also have it re-subdivided in order to develop it. We would only be building a 6,000 square foot office warehouse facility. And note that on this administrative re-subdivision, we have added restrictive covenants that will be signed off by the owner. That's sort of in the lower right-hand side, that confirms that there would be no access from Bosworth Avenue, that the only permitted use would be office warehouse, that the restrictive covenants could be enforced by all of the abutting landowners, and that the restrictive covenants on this plat could only be amended with the approval of the St. Tammany Parish Planning Commission. So these are not deed restrictions in the classic sense, because I realize the Zoning Commission cannot take into consideration offered deed restrictions, but because we're going to have to re-subdivide, I felt like this was a good opportunity to put in writing what we in fact are offering. So the request to you this evening is to recommend to the council a change of zone to I-1 with a commitment from us that Mr. Bender is going to monitor the facilitation or the approval of this administrative re-subdivision so that it will happen at the same time the zoning changes, so that it won't be a chicken and the egg. They'll happen together, and that the people in that neighborhood will have the benefit and protection of the things that we've been discussing for, I guess, 5 months now. I would tell you that I told Mr. Bender that I would make this statement. He has monitored these conversations and discussions, and he's not at all uncomfortable with anything that we have suggested. I don't know who might be here this evening, but I know that the Hiltons had indicated they would not be attending because they had confidence that I would deliver to you the things that I have talked about with them. And they knew that this was, again, just a first step anyway. But so with those things having been said, I would appreciate your consideration. And again, if there are questions, I'll be glad to address them at the appropriate time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Do we have any cards on this case? Okay. Let's see if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak against. Seeing no one, I will close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Crawford.
I went out there today and rode past the property, and it seems to be just as Mr. Shane described. There's a lot of commerce, a lot of industrial type heavy work going on there, so I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Crawford to approve. Commissioner Gaines.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Gaines. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Hernandez, thank you. The motion to approve carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was 3398.
35.
Passed. So, okay, we're on to the next one. All right, item 2 was postponed. Item 3 was withdrawn. And we'll go to item 4 like I tried to do earlier. All right, this is case 2023-3585. The existing zoning is HC1 Highway Commercial District, A4A Single Family Residential District. Proposed zoning is HC2 Highway Commercial District. Location, parcel located on the east of US Highway 190, west of Falconer Drive, south of Harrison Avenue, and north of 8th Avenue, Covington, Ward 3, District 2. It's 3.34 acres. Petitioner is Richard Baldwin. The owner is Baldwin Investments, John T. Baldwin, and this is in Council District 2. Staff?
This is a 3.34 acre parcel that is currently zoned A4 single family residential, and also a portion that is zone HC1 Highway Commercial District. If you take a look at the aerial, you can see that is currently located behind an existing car lot, and basically the request is to go to HC2, Highway Commercial District, to be able to allow for the expansion of this existing and also what is under construction for the used and new car lot.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Maroon. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Paul Marone on behalf of the Baldwin family, who are the owners of Baldwin Motors. This 3.34 acres is 2 squares in Alexisville and a portion of the revoked and unopened right-of-way adjacent between those squares. As you see in your packet, the property is along the east side of Highway 190. South of Harrison Avenue. It's immediately adjacent and behind the Baldwin Motors facility, as Ms. Lambert noted. Those of you who have been in the area for a while will know that the dealership's been in that location for about 30 years. Baldwin Motors has been in the Covington area for at least 60 years and perhaps a little more than that. It's a Subaru and a Lincoln dealership at this time. These squares are vacant. And no development on them at this time. The squares adjacent to it to the north and to the east are vacant at this time. To the south, there are some residents there that are across the street from another unopened right-of-way, so we don't actually abut those residents, but we are adjacent to them across that unopened right-of-way. The Baldwin family actually owns one of the squares to the east side of this property. If you look on your side, I think you'll see square 67. So they abut themselves on that corner, and they are that neighbor. The existing zones are HC1, Highway Commercial, and A4. We're asking for HC2. The request is to be able to accommodate the growth of the dealerships that are on the property now. The HC2 is needed for the auto sales, auto repair type facilities. HC1 doesn't allow that. And we thought that the HC2 would be a step down from the HC3 that is immediately to our west. The exact use of what would take place on this property, I can't give you that exact use, but we know that it will be either used car sales, EV sales, or charging stations, parking, or even office uses for the dealerships and for the family. If you look at the surrounding zones, we have a great deal of HC3 to our west. So again, this would be a step down, abutting that HC3 into the HC2. There's a great deal of HC3, HC2, HC2A, and HC1 in this general vicinity, both north and south of this site. If you look on your zoning map, you will see that to our north and to our south, there is some HC1 and some HC2A that actually has the same depth off of 190 as what we're proposing here. And then finally, I would also point out to you, as staff noted, that historically, and I don't know the limits of it, but historically, some of this property was C2 under the old zoning code before the rezoning was done in 08, 09, and 2010. So we would respectfully suggest that the zone here is not incompatible with the other zones in the area. We do not believe that the HC2 in this location, with the buffers that are required adjacent to residential, would be a detriment to the area in any way. But it would allow the business that's been there for 30 years to continue to grow, to continue to prosper, and be successful and competitive in the market going forward. So with that all in mind, I'm happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have at the appropriate time. We appreciate your consideration, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. All right, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak against this zoning change? Seeing no one, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Horn.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Horn to approve. Commissioner Seeger.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Seeger. Commissioner McInnes.
Staff, what is the buffer for the zoning that they're wanting to get? What would be the buffer?
They'll be required to provide, let me see here. So since it's abutting streets, you'll have more than likely a minimum of a 20-foot buffer on each side.
I was thinking about on the southern end where there's houses.
Yeah. South side, it will be at least 20, rear will be at least 20, and on the other side, at least 20.
Okay. Okay. That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. We've got a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Please vote.
The motion to approve carries.
All right. We go to item 6. Case is 2023-3600-ZC. This is Council District 6, Howard O'Berry Road and vicinity, zoning classification review. Staff?
The Parish Council adopted a moratorium on the receipt of submissions by the Parish Planning and Zoning Commission for the re-subdivision, rezoning, and issuance of building permits for any mobile home building structures on property abutting Howard O'Berry Road, east of Highway 41 and south of Earl Bennett Road. The council reached out to the planning department and asked us to perform a study in the area to determine if the existing A4 single-family residential zoning and existing mobile home overlay is appropriate, or if based on the current development pattern, we have any recommendations to change that. Excuse me. The study is comprised of 611 acres and 148 parcels. When we were looking at these parcels, there were 4 larger parcels. There was a 134 acres, a 69-acre parcel, a 43-acre parcel, and a 31-acre parcel that was throwing off the average when we're looking at the average size of these parcels in the study area. So removing those from the study gives us an average property size of 2.45 acres. Again, if you remove those larger parcels, you get an average width in this area of 248 feet. I want to reiterate, this property is zoned A4 single-family residential, so that's quarter-acre lot sizes. And the average lot size is 2.45 acres. There's also 16 properties along the highway that are zoned HC2 highway commercial. A large amount of these are undeveloped, so we remove these from the study area as well because that's not what we were tasked with to look at these properties. So when you take those out of the equation, you're left with 129 properties. The study area is developed with 80 existing single-family homes, 66 existing mobile homes, and 194 accessory structures. All of the existing residential dwellings currently conform to their correct zoning classification, so none of them are in highway commercial zoning. Currently, 89% of the study area is zoned A4 single-family residential district, which allows a minimum lot size of the quarter acre. So 83% of the subject properties within this area meet or exceed the area and width requirements of the A2 zoning. A2 is 1 acre lot sizes. So 83% of these properties are bigger than 1 acre. The discrepancy in property size and property zoning could create a potential density conflict, as a majority of the parcels in the study area could be potentially subdivided, which could nearly triple the density in this area. Staff recommends to the Parish Council that they rezone the subject area to A2 Suburban District to provide the correct zoning classification for these 89, for the 89% of parcels that exceed A2 requirements. Additionally, 143 of the 148 subject properties are currently zoned with the mobile home overlay. There are 66 existing mobile homes in the area. So staff recommends to the Parish Council to maintain the existing mobile home overlay so that we don't make the existing 66 mobile homes become legal nonconforming.
All right. Thank you. All right, we've got several cards here from folks that wish to, let's see, there's one against. one that doesn't have any. We'll just start at the top and go through them. Burns Allman. Good evening, sir.
How you doing? Burns Allman, 6 Adrian Street, Madisonville, Louisiana. I own a property on Howard O'Barry Road Extension with 2 trailers on it. It's 2 acres. And I'm just curious how this affects my property.
Staff?
It would actually, the mobile home are grandfathered in, however, it would still be permitted. It would allow 1 mobile home per acre. You would not be able to add any more mobile homes to your property. So basically, right now, it is allowed is 4 houses per acre. But the request here is to go to a maximum of 1 house per acre, or 1 residence per acre.
Now, one of my mobile homes is old. I was wondering if I could replace it at some time without any problem.
Yes, you will be able to replace it. However, you'll have to apply for the building permit.
I understand that. Okay, I'm against it because I was possibly putting a 3rd one on the property. Thank you.
Okay. Annette Moore.
Hi, I live off of Howard O'Barry Road and currently A4 with the mobile home overlay. My question was, and I think she answered it, going to the A2 would be 1 per acre. There's a 5-acre parcel behind me that my understanding is someone's wanting to put trailers there. So that means with it being a 5-acre, they could put 5 mobile homes.
And if, may I answer that question?
Yes, you may answer.
Well, technically, no, because the code considers that the 4th mobile home would be considered a mobile home park. And because it does not meet the requirements of a mobile home park, then a maximum of 3 would be permitted on that property.
Okay. And the other issue, like this gentleman, he rents those trailers. It's not owner occupied, and that's another concern that we have for the property owners. A lot of those trailers, I've been there for 23 years, and in those 23 years, on just that one strip of road, there's been 15 trailers moved in, and of that, there's only 6 owner occupied. They're all renters.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Terry Cranford. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Terry Crawford, and I live on Howard O'Barry Road. I've lived there since 1978. We're all a little confused about what is trying to transpire, because what we're hearing is the gentleman that bought property across the street from our property is wanting to move more mobile homes in there to rent out. There's 2 on the property already that he's rented out. And so we're just trying to determine what's going on. Is this so he can put more mobile homes out there? Because we're all single-family dwellings out there. Like I said, I've been there since '78. I've raised all my kids there. And when you got more people coming in and they're renting, you got in and out. We all watch out for each other in our neighborhood. You know, everybody's been there for a long time. And we just want to make sure that this is not going to change to allow him to move more mobile homes in. So we don't know who's coming and going in our neighborhood anymore.
Okay. Thank you. James Costner. Good evening, sir.
I live right in the beginning of Howard O'Barry Road, and we purchased the property because of the zoning and the commercial part of it, and we're right in the front. My neighbor is with me. He didn't fill out a card, so he can't come up and talk, but he has 11 acres. I have 1, and my neighbor beside me, she was sick. She couldn't come, but she has 2, so we represent about 14 acres right there in the beginning of Howard O'Berry Road. And we want this zoning to stay the same, the zoning and the commercial part, everything to stay the same. We don't want it changed. And I'd kind of like to know how many people that right there that's wanting it changed, because
okay,
maybe you can't answer that. I don't know. I'm just.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, this proposed zoning change is not going to affect the commercial zoning that is currently inside of that area.
Okay, it wouldn't affect that.
The commercial zoning is proposed to remain the same, yes. If your property is zoned commercial, it's not proposed to be changed.
Okay, and we have two trailers on the property now, but we're not, it's for our personal use. It's not to be rented out. We haven't, considered, we don't want to rent it. We've actually had people ask us if we were putting it there, and no, we're not putting it there to rent.
okay.
So we would, like I said, we would appreciate it if y'all would really consider leaving it like it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tom and Lori Norman. Good evening.
Yeah, I'm Tom Norman. I live on Howard O'Berry Road, directly across the street from this proposed site where this gentleman wants to add more mobile homes on this. I'm just totally against it. I've been there for 23 years now to raise my family. I just put a new home on it, just one mobile home on the acre. And we'd all like to keep it that way. It's to raise our family. We just don't want the congestion. It's bad enough with at the end of the street, we have a problem with illegal substances at that end. Too much traffic, and we just don't want that much more traffic. It's a dead-end road, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Danny Martin. Good evening, sir.
Hi, I'm Danny Martin. My father-in-law cut in Howard O'Berry Road. My grandfather-in-law is Howard O'Berry. It's a rural area. All right, we want it that way. We don't want trailers in trailer courts, trailer lots. 1 per acre is great. We are for the district change. So.
Okay, thank you. Tammy Martin.
Tammy Martin, 37249 Howard O'Berry Road. As my husband stated, Howard O'Berry Road was cut in to be our driveway, and all of our neighbors moved in, and we love them, and we have no problem with people living in house trailers, but absolutely we need it to remain at 1 per acre. We really think that it was a mistake that it was listed at 4 per acre. It's not consistent with the area. We are rural. We appreciate our rural life. I heard Mr. Shane's comments earlier about the distance to medical care and the distance to this and the distance to that, and we appreciate that. We will trade the car ride to stay rural. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that is all the cards that I have. Now, before I close it to the public, I just want to be sure that there's no one else that wishes to speak. Okay, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Seeger.
I have a question for staff. I look at the staff recommendations, and the last paragraph says there are 66 existing mobile homes, and you recommend that maintain the existing. I'm sorry. I read it like it says. It says mobile home. That should be corrected to say manufactured home overlay. And secondly, my real question is it possible to, for want of a better term, grandfather these 66 mobile homes into some kind of legal terminology so that they are not non-conforming, so that they are conforming for those 66?
There's currently a mobile home overlay in that area. So basically, they're grandfathered in, but they're also permitted. So, the mobile home overlay, we're not requesting to remove it. Basically the suggestion here, or the recommendation, is to go from A4 to A2 suburban, but to keep the manufactured housing overlay.
Hearing that explanation, I move that the parish council be directed to subject area to A2 to provide the correct zoning classification for the majority of the properties and protect the existing density pattern, and maintain the 66 existing manufactured home overlays so as not to cause them to become legal non-conforming uses. It's all written on the staff recommendations.
Okay. Commissioner Horn.
Was that a motion?
Yes.
A second.
Horn?
She seconded the motion.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that. Gaines?
So I have a question for staff. How many, it says you have 66 homes in the study area. How many of those are on lots that are under one acre?
I can get that to you.
Because we've heard one tonight. And what would be the status of those homes after, if this was approved?
The mobile home will still be a legal use. They'll be able to replace it if they'd like to. It will become
Legal non-conforming?
a legal lot of record, and then the mobile home will still be it will be a legal home. So if they want to replace it, they'll be more than welcome to replace
But it won't. But you're changing the zoning so that if they have a 1 acre lot with 2 mobile homes on it, what happens to that?
If the mobile home is replaced within 6 months of the removal, they'll be able to replace it. 1 year, I'm sorry, of the removal. However, in the event
So it would have a legal non-conforming status.
If you have more than 1 mobile home per acre, yes, that's correct.
So how many homes would become legal non-conforming?
How many mobile homes will become?
How many manufactured homes would become legal non-conforming?
I don't have that information today.
Wouldn't that have been good to have part of the study, though? Because those people are affected by this as well, right?
As we stated, most of the parcels are over 1 acre.
83% are over 1 acre.
I understand. So that says what, 17% that are in would become a legal non-conforming status?
Only if they have more than 1 property on it.
I'm just wondering how many people are going to be affected, and negatively. I mean, this is a positive change for everybody that I'm hearing. I'm not disputing that. I'm just wondering, can you do a carve out or something so that you're not changing the zoning on the people that are already there existing, that already have multiple homes on less than a lot, or have a home on less than a lot or a 1 acre?
You could, but you'd have to identify those to exclude them from the zoning map when you do this ordinance change. And presumably all of those owners received notice of tonight's meeting. And this is not an approval. This is only a recommendation for approval to the parish council. It'll have to be taken up. It'll have to be introduced by the parish council, lay over for at least 7 days, and
I understand.
adopted.
This is a blanket approval or blanket recommendation to the council. And if we haven't identified the homes which would be negatively, adversely affected by this change, and we should include that as part of our recommendation, shouldn't we?
You can. This is a comprehensive rezoning.
It's a very small number of people, it appears, but why wouldn't we create a status for them so they're not in a legal non-conforming status? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
We are trying to pull up the number of notices that we've sent the abutting neighbors. We did our best to send a notice to all the
I'd just say
property
for
owners.
somebody who's been there, I don't know how long any of those, it's a small number of homes, but if they've been there for 20 years, I don't want to just pull the rug out from under them and make them have to comply with some additional. If they move it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Just a moment.
The table says it'd be like 22 parcels. Well, I don't know if they're occupied or not.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to come up with right now. Let me go to this lady here, and then I've got Ken on the line too. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
If you carve out that section of people, those 17.
Right, there's 21.
They would not be affected by the zoning change of A2. That means they would be allowed to continue to put more trailers on their properties?
No, I'm just saying that there's 21, it appears like there's 21 homes that are on a half acre. So I'm not suggesting that we could change them to A3.
So they're half acre right now?
Correct.
And they're allowed how many trailers on half acre?
One. No, they're 1 acre, but they may have 2 trailers on it, so it's 1 per half acre, right?
Right, but our understanding was all those trailers would be grandfathered in. They would not be affected because of the mobile home
But there's
overlay.
more to it than that, right? So if something happens and they have to replace that trailer, they have a limited amount of time in order to do that. Right, so it just adds a further burden of restrictions, in my opinion, upon them if they've been there for a long time.
Right, and that's our understanding too.
If we took those 21 homes and carved it out and moved them to an A3 instead of an A4, so they can't put any more on there, but it still allows them to be in a legal status, then they fall under the same that everybody else would. This is the same legal status that
That was
everybody.
our understanding. If they pulled one out, they could put one back in. They could replace it.
If they do it within a certain period of time.
Well,
Right, but if so, like, say grandma passes.
Indefinite time.
I understand. Here's a scenario. What if grandma passes away, and then the grandkids can't come and take possession of it for a year, right? And they want to move something out, and then they can't.
But
right now, they would have to build a stick-built home on that lot. And I understand that.
No, not if the trailer stays there for a year and then they decide to pull it.
I get you. I'm just saying that.
And we do have abandoned trailers in the area as well.
Absolutely, and we have that problem all over the parish. I'm just saying that we have people that are already there. They've been there for many years potentially. It's only 21. We can still move them to a status so that they can't put any more there, but it still protects their status.
I don't think anyone would have a problem with that, right?
Right?
Yeah. I don't. Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Question. I have a
there's
home and a mobile home on my property. Is this going to affect me in any way? My parents had a mobile home, they're deceased. Now it's mine. I use it to let my grandkids stay if they need a place to stay, and I just want to make sure I'm not going to be affected with this, with having a house and a mobile home on the property.
Helen, Aaron, Ellen?
What is the size of your property?
It's 9.6. I mean, 9.6.
0.96 acres?
Yeah.
It's 1 acre.
Yeah, so if in the event that the power would be turned off for more than a year, then you would not be able to replace it.
Right, no, I keep the power on. Okay.
So it's grandfathered.
Just wanted to make sure.
It's just grandfathered in.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I would object to classifying them as A3 simply because if they do not comply with the zoning within a year, then they lose their grandfather status. I'm perfectly fine with people being grandfathered in. I don't want Terry to have to move or to have to move her trailer out. But if somebody else comes in and buys it, and no. If it stays vacant for a year, it has to go. They've lost their grandfathered status. It should be 1 house per acre, other than the people who are already grandfathered. When you start mixing those divisions within 1 road, 600 acres, you are not doing justice to the people who live there.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Oh, they own a half acre.
I just want to know how that's going to affect where I'm at, right there in the front. Because like I say, I did purchase the property with the zoning restriction of what was on it, and I complied to everything that the parish wanted, gave them everything, did everything that they needed.
Well, if you're in compliance now, and Helen, Aaron, if he's in compliance now, then it's not going to really affect him, right?
If you have anything on it? You have anything on that land?
I have 2 acres, I mean, two trailers, yes, sir. Right in the front. I'm the one probably that's got all of this stirred up, to be honest with you. But you know, I came in, I did it exactly like the parish wanted it. And, you know, I just feel like that I'm being singled out because I didn't know what everybody was down on trailers, you know what I mean? And I'm on a fixed income. I can
Sir, let me get an answer from staff on this, and then we'll go forward with some other comments from staff, from commissioners.
That's what I was just...
At this time, I do not know exactly where the gentleman lives. So at this time, you know, if this is approved, you know, the mobile homes would be grandfathered in. Not knowing exactly where the property is located, I'm not going to be able to correctly answer the question.
Okay.
So I'd be grandfathered in.
What's your current zone?
I'm sorry, sir.
What's your current zone?
What's my current what?
Zoning.
To be honest with you, I didn't bring that with me with my paperwork. I
thought he said he was HC2.
I can give you my address. I'm right there right in the front, right in the front.
Would it be possible to obtain an address?
37024 Howard O'Berry Road, right in the front.
37024?
And like I say, I don't know why everybody wants to discriminate against a mobile home. I look at it, it's not the kind of house you live in, it's the kind of living you do in the house.
Let's get an answer. I mean, we've had too many conversations going on at the same time.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
And just to clarify, it's not a rezoning to remove the mobile home overlay. It's not about the type of house that's there. It's a change in the density from 4 units per 1 acre to 1 unit per 1 acre. Whether it's a stick-built home, a mobile home, it's a change in the density, not a change in the type of home that's allowed.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I know.
It appears that it's 2 separate parcels of land. Is it 2 separate parcels of land?
Sir, is it 2?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Helen's saying that you have 2 separate parcels of land.
No, I only have 1 acre with 2 trailers on it. If you got it pulled up, I can show you a picture of it. It's right off the corner. As soon as you turn on Howard O'Berry Road, there's a single wide right there, which is Bell Kennedy's. I'm the next one.
This is not interstate.
Helen, while you're trying to figure it out, I got 2 people in the queue. Let me go on to them. Commissioner Martin, Narcisse.
Looks like from what I see, essentially we are lowering the density and we're protecting the houses that are actually there. The question for the commissioner at the end, Mr. Seeger, is do you want to add in the protection of the HC3 for the existing 21 lots into your motion? Either way, I'm okay with it because I see what Ms. Martin was saying in the back where if it's grandfathered in and if they don't do anything within a year, then they lose their grandfather. That makes sense. That is reasonable. It's going to be a commissioner vote on that. It's going to be a commissioner discussion. But I think blanketly, the decrease in density and the protection of the mobile homes, all of this is a net positive for everyone. I think we're all in agreement on that. We can just decide whether or not we want to protect the existing half-acre lots or grandfather them in with the condition that they lose their status after a year of non-doing anything. And I think that goes to Mr. Seeger in his motion, if he wants to amend it.
Okay, Commissioner Seeger.
I would like to amend my motion to include those 21 lots, I think. Is that the correct number? 22. Yeah. 22 lots to grandfather them in to protect the current landowners. I am a little disappointed, though, that apparently due notice was sent out, and I don't, judging by the number of people that have shown up for this, and I don't see that number of people on those 21 people. I don't see a lot of representation from those 21 people. So I'm a little disappointed that even though due notice was sent out, obviously, that they're not here to state their case. And but that being said, I amend my motion.
And I'm going to ask for clarity of that motion because this is a comprehensive rezoning for a whole area. So are you amending the request to change what is currently zoned A2 to A3 for the entire area? Because otherwise we're going to have to redo, we cannot pull out based on this agenda item, those non-conforming lots from the A2 recommendation to A3. We either have to do A3 for the entire or postpone this and try to identify those that would not comply. This is a comprehensive rezoning. We're not rezoning parcel by parcel.
So we're not making exceptions for the 66 mobile homes, manufactured homes. We're not making exceptions for them?
No, the mobile home overlay is going to stay. That's not changing. I'm saying if we're going to accept these.
I yield the floor to my fellow Commissioner Rest.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know if I understand this now. I thought I did until we got. The way I understand what we're trying to do is all the property that's zoned commercial is going to stay commercial. Everything else is going to be rezoned to A2 with the manufactured home overlay over the entire section, all that A2 property, all of it. So everybody that's got a mobile home in there still going to have the right to have their mobile home. If they've got a lot, and if you look at this, there's 22 lots that are less than 1 acre. They don't all necessarily have mobile homes on them, first of all. So there may be less than 22. The most, there's 22, right? So if they're more than a year, the way it stands, without if they have power go out and don't get it reconnected for a year, or they have an abandoned place that's basically, then they're kind of in a problem. But it takes a year for that. Mr. Gaines' concern was if you had an inheritance thing or something along those lines, there could be extenuating circumstances. Could they come before the commission with that extenuating circumstances on that individual piece of property and get it handled if I'm not mistaken?
That's correct. That's
the worst case scenario. So in my mind, trying to carve out every little block and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We got people are satisfied that want commercial, people have manufactured homes, want their manufactured homes, they want the bigger lots. I think we've got a 99% solution here to a problem. For those the few that might come up, they can come before the commission and get it resolved. I move that we approve as written under those, if I understand that correctly, that's what you wrote, correct?
Tom?
Can we go forward with that?
Okay. All right. You finished?
I move to approve.
Okay. Commissioner Crawford.
I will second Commissioner Ress's motion, but I did have a question, unfortunately, as staff. So I understand everything we said about commercial staying the same. That's great. The MHO is over the whole study area, the whole 600 acres. Okay, so that's going to stay the same. That takes care of everybody's trailer, and that's by permit. That's written in. So MHO, there's no time limit on that. They can bring trailers in or out. You have a permit for MHO. Question I have is on the less than 1 acre lots, when they get zoned A2, then it becomes a, what is it called at that point? Let's say there's a half-acre lot that's zoned A2. What would be the terminology for that lot?
If there's only one mobile home on it, it's a legal use.
Okay.
And it's the,
So if there's one mobile home, and I'm really addressing this for anybody that may be watching or listening that's not here tonight in that area. So if there's a half-acre lot or anything less than an acre that has one mobile home on it, then nothing changes. It's totally legal. There's no time limit. There's no nothing regarding that mobile home. It becomes a legal lot of record, even though it's less than 1 acre. Okay. Now, if there was a less than 1 acre lot, say 3/4 of an acre that had 2 mobile homes on it, what's the situation there?
then they become grandfathered then. If one is removed for more than 1 year, then it cannot be replaced.
Okay. So that only applies to more than one residence on that legal lot, whatever it is. Okay, and whether it's mobile homes or stick-built homes, the same thing exists. Is that correct?
Correct. If you currently have 2 stick-built homes or a stick-built home and a mobile home under 1 acre, then, but actually the density will be 1 unit per acre.
Right, right. But it's grandfathered in until something should occur. Okay. Legal non-conforming building is the correct terminology. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to clarify that. Hopefully that does. And I second the motion, so I think we should vote on the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Horn.
Point of order here. I think there was already a motion on the floor that already stated the same thing that we're stating already.
Yes.
That didn't need to be remotioned and second again.
Correct.
No, Commissioner Seeger yielded the floor back to Commissioner Ress. So Commissioner Seeger's motion to recommend approval of this comprehensive rezoning as stated in the staff report, as seconded by Commissioner Horn, is what's currently on the floor.
Okay, I think we're square. Okay, please vote.
Mr. Hunt? The motion to approve carries.
Thank y'all. I hope that everyone is squared off. No, we've still got one more here, I think. Yeah, that's what I say. One more, yeah. Yeah, item 1 on the 3rd page was withdrawn, so we go to item 2. And this is under plan review cases. It's case number 2023-3616 PR, mixed-use retail, corridor, Highway 21, plan corridor, zoning NC5 retail and service district, use size, building in phases 3,265 square feet, 5,695 square feet, 4,400 square feet, 12,495 square feet. Petitioners David DeVincity, Senior. Owner is 21 at the Point, LLC. Location, parcel located on the west side of Louisiana Highway 21 and the east side of Louisiana Highway 1077, Madisonville, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The petition property consists of a total of 4.104 acres and is located on the west side of Highway 21 and the east side of 1077. The property is currently several individual lots of record and was previously occupied with multiple single-family dwellings. The applicant is proposing to develop the site as a mixed-use retail development, which will consist of multiple buildings that are proposed to be constructed in phases. The applicant has submitted a concurrent application for a minor subdivision to rearrange the internal lot lines for the 4 existing parcels, which is being reviewed administratively by the Department of Planning and Development. Currently, there is a 36-inch cypress on site, a 24-inch live oak on site, and a 42-inch live oak on site. The applicant's current drawings are proposing to remove all of these protected trees, which will require a waiver from the Zoning Commission. Additionally, when you remove protected trees, you're required to submit a mitigation plan for those trees. We've not received a mitigation plan from the applicant to remove these trees. Right now, as proposed, the applicant is seeking waivers to all of the required buffers, including the Highway 21 Plan Corridor Buffer, the Highway 1077 Street Buffer, the northern side yard buffer, and the southern side yard buffer, to remove trees which are required to remain, and to either place fill or excavate around the root zones of trees which are required to remain. Additionally, per the Highway 21 Plan Corridor Ordinance, the applicant is required to provide an approved drainage plan. The applicant has submitted plans which have been reviewed by the engineering and planning departments. We have provided a markup summary to the applicant, and we have since received revised plans but have not had time to review them. At this time, staff recommends postponement for this case.
Okay. So I'm not even going to try the last name. David? Are you David?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, you're representing David.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's DiVincenti is how you pronounce it. My name is Christopher Maestri. I'm a resident of Baton Rouge. I work with MR Engineering, 9345 Interline Avenue in Baton Rouge. And I appreciate the introduction and thank the commissioners for sticking around for the last one. I was born in St. Tammany Parish and went to LSU. About a year ago, I was approached with this project, and when I was approached with it, I was excited about it because I think this is a good project. Throughout the year, we worked with the Department of Utilities, DOTD, traffic consultants, to come up with this plan that we can present to you guys today. The initial set of plans was submitted to staff. We received comments from the staff, and as stated, we resubmitted our set of plans, drainage, lighting, and it comes down to these 5 comments from staff that will need your consideration. So I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with the project here, or if they've seen any of the plans. I actually don't know that, but if you're familiar with this area, it's on 21 as you approach Madisonville, heading south. It's before the intersection with 1077, where it's a rather acute angle. We're once removed from that intersection. Currently, it's residential, maybe a bit of commercial, but you can notice it from that big tower. It's like a ham radio site, if y'all are familiar with that area. There is some existing vegetation and landscaping, so the task I was given was to preserve as many of these trees as we can and comply with this ordinance as much as we can. And that's where I'm at today. So I would like to know if anyone has any concerns with this project, or if anyone's constituents has any concerns with this project. And if not, this is what this project will require in order to move forward. The latest set of plans that were submitted to staff has these 2 oak trees being preserved. So we're going to preserve these 2 oak trees. We're going to engineer the site so where we can preserve these nice, pretty oak trees. But we will need to remove the 36-inch cypress. It's built into the pool and kind of existing area. So we're asking for a waiver to remove the 36-inch cypress from the site. We also are asking the commission to approve a waiver as it relates to Section 130, 1975 D3C, which states that no more than 1 inch of fill shall be allowed within the tree protection root zone of these live oaks that we plan to preserve with y'all's consideration. And as part of this waiver request, we plan to have what we call a special section that was recommended by a licensed arborist for use within these tree root zones, where it consists of not disturbing the existing soil and coming in with a limestone base to facilitate drainage that through this tree protection zone. So that would be the second waiver that I would request. The third waiver is one that relates to these planned corridor street buffers. This is a unique site in that we are between two state routes. So each state route has its own buffer requirements. For 21, which is the major roadway, which we front, is a 50-foot buffer. It's a 50-foot street planting buffer, which we are planting, and we're putting in a stormwater management area. But inside of this 50-foot buffer, all trees over 6 inches diameter, breast height, must remain without you guys, unless you guys grant this waiver. So there are several trees that fall within this 50-foot buffer, and we are doing our best to preserve each and every one of them. However, there is an 8-inch cedar that's falling right on top of a storm drain pipe, right along the thing that we can't save. And there's also a 30-inch pine within this 50-foot buffer that's going to fall within a sewer force main that we most likely won't be able to save. So I'll have to ask that waiver of you gentlemen. Part of as an aside here, as part of this project, there are significant off-site improvements that will need to be constructed by Mr. DiVincenzi. Those improvements consist of a public water main extension along LA 21, a good distance, all the way from the name escapes me, but the subdivision Arbor Walk, the entrance to the Arbor Walk. So with you guys' approval of these waiver requests, we'll be able to provide a water main extension along 21, and with that, fire hydrants, which would expand the fire protection in the region, which is generally good for the public. And then also we will be able to extend a sewer force main, similar distance, which would allow for positive development in that corridor. So coming back to the waivers that will need to be considered here tonight, or another night if you so choose. There's also a 30-foot street buffer for the LA 1077 side. And within that buffer, there is a 24-inch and a 30-inch pine tree that will fall close to a future building. And the bigger pines, they're just danger to the building, so I'm asking you to consider that waiver to remove it. These trees that we plan to remove, with your permission, they'll be replaced with safer trees, indigenous species. And so the final waiver that I'll have to ask of you to consider tonight would be for the internal buffers. So there's a lot of buffers here. Just bear with me. There is street planting buffers on 21. There's a street planting buffer on 1077. There's also 10-foot buffers along the north and the south side of this. I'm gonna call it a development. So on the north and the south 10-foot buffers, we're gonna save as many trees as we can in there. We're gonna save all those trees. On the 1077 side, we've got the 2 trees that I requested be removed for utility purposes. And then on the west side, I've got the 2 pine trees that are in close proximity to a future building and pose danger. But internally, currently there are 4 lots of record. There are 1 acre, 0.7 acre, 0.6 acres. There's 4 lots in there. So in order to move forward with this, with the financing of projects like this, the 4 buildings that we propose, they will need to be on their own lot. So we're proposing 4 lots. There are currently 4 lots. But with these internal lot lines come additional buffers. So what we are asking is, due to the shape and the geometric hardship of this particular parcel, we're asking that this council waive the requirements for these internal buffers, because we would like for this development to function as one development, and there will be similar uses between parcels that don't exactly warrant internal buffers, between these buildings. So these 5 waivers, with a positive consideration, would allow us to continue to work on this project, in that it would be a conditional approval, because we still need to work with staff on this final set of, well, not final set, but on this latest set of plans, which I think staff will approve. I think their comments have been satisfactorily addressed, but these 5 waiver requests would still need to be considered, whether it be this month or next month. So with my last 15 seconds, I will thank you guys for y'all's service. I think I really appreciate y'all's time. Thank y'all for listening. And I'll be here if you have any questions.
Okay. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against on this item? All right, I'm going to close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner McInnes.
Well, I appreciate that detailed explanation. I think there's just too many waivers for me to feel comfortable without staff also concurring, and they haven't had time to look at it. So I'm going to move to postpone to January to get that staff report. Secondly, I just want to mention that I do have concerns about some of the larger tree removal plans. So be ready for staff and the applicant for further questions on large tree removal. Thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Seeger.
I'll second Commissioner McInnes's motion, but I'll tell you up front, I have a problem with the waiver that you're requesting on the Highway 21 side, with the number of trees that you're requesting to a waiver. That's a lot. So just to let you know that when we do come back, we talking about how long? 1 month, Nell? A second to postpone for 1 month.
Okay, Commissioner Gaines.
I just had a quick question. Is there a different zoning that they can do in this entire lot that would make the buffers between the different lots irrelevant?
No, sir. That's their choice to keep it as 4 lots of record.
Instead of just making it one development? Gotcha. Is it? What's that?
You don't want to make it one.
Gotcha. I just wanted clarification on that. That's all.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to postpone till February. Is that what I heard? January. All right. Please vote.
The motion to postpone to January carries.
I know you guys have put a lot of work in on this, but there's still a lot of questions that, based on what I heard from you and what I've heard from various meetings, it needs to be put in writing as to what you're asking for, and staff needs to come with a positive report and not one that says it needs to be postponed. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just one other item I want to bring up that came up, and it's come up from time to time on getting these speaker cards filled out. None of them have a place for an email address. And almost everybody now has got an email address. I talked to Ross this evening, and he is working on getting the email address put on the speaker card. Okay? So there we are. Okay, Commissioner Ress.
When will you know who your new commissioners are for next year?
January.
Well, the commissioners do not become inaugurated until the second Monday of January, and they won't hold their first council meeting until that second Thursday of January, which is after the zoning commission meeting in January. So I've discussed it with the council administrator, and most likely the appointment of planning and zoning commissioners won't be until the February council agenda. So you all continue to serve until you are reappointed or replaced. So, as you all know, the commissioners' terms run with the council terms. So everyone's term will expire at the end of this year, but even though your term is expired, you all continue to serve until you're reappointed or replaced. we won't send out a deputy to come pick you up at your house, but
I might be sick.
But it probably won't be until the February agenda that we have those reappointments.
I'm feeling kind of ill already.
Commissioner Horn.
Motion to adjourn.